Good morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. I've been away a couple of days. I am back, and I'll tell you what I've been thinking about the last couple of days. But first, this is a chapter that we read for our home church on Sunday, as we had a bunch of things going on. So we did home church with the family, and it's Psalm 100. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know ye not that the Lord, he is good? It is he that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. This is a very important passage because amongst all the doom and gloom, amongst all the end-time Bible prophecy things happening, and they are happening, this is really the joy that we have in us, that we are saved through faith in Jesus Christ. And we know that our eternal being is resolved and in place and assured through Jesus Christ. We go on into eternity to live with Jesus, to live with God in heaven. And the one thing that non-Christians don't realize is that they too will be in eternity. Now you may ask, well, wait a minute, that's not what I understood. It's only if you believe in Jesus that you're going to live with Jesus for eternity in paradise in heaven. Well, no, all the unbelievers will also be around for eternity, but they will be in a place that is apart from God, a place where there is no God, where there is no love, where there is no compassion, where there is no peace, where there is no kindness, where there is no good thing, because all good things come from the Lord. They don't realize that. I think they think they're going to go into the sand and that there is no eternity. Certainly that's what evolution teaches us. And so we need to each day praise the Lord for the good things he gives us. And remember to do that amongst all the things and amidst all the things that are happening in this world. Now, what I've been thinking about lately and spending some time on is DIY batteries. I have a bit of a solar setup, and I've just been dipping my toes in, the renewable energy thing. As we talk about, for example, the Texas power grid, which has been an issue. There's been warnings I've heard from BP Earthwatch. Temperatures are very hot in Texas, and it's always very hot there. But they're getting significant heat waves. And across Africa, there's significant heat waves. And what does the Bible say happened in Genesis? Well, there was a flood, and God destroyed the world with a flood. And he said he will never do that again. The second time, he's not going to destroy the world with a flood when the wrath of God falls upon this earth. It will not be with a flood, but with fire. He will burn everything up. And so, yes, the world is getting hotter as we move from the Ice Age, which was caused by the flood of Noah, the ice canopy that encircled the earth, creating the extra oxygen and the extra pressure in the atmosphere. As that collapsed, which created some of the flood and also opened up the fountains of the deep, that created the Ice Age, which existed at the time of and after the flood of Noah. That's what started the Ice Age, because all that ice canopy, due to the magnetic fields which converge at the poles, north and south poles, all that ice canopy the ice kind of slid off the pressure dome and to the poles. And that's why the poles are cold and have snow on them, because of the ice canopy that was broken up during the flood of Noah, like a broken egg. And so the earth was cooled by that for many, many years, thousands of years. And we're now getting warmer, and that ice is melting. Indeed, it would melt. And so that's where we're going. The world is getting hotter. It's not wholly due to humans, although I think we do make a mess of things, probably primarily cutting down trees. We're killing ourselves basically. We're cutting down the things that are creating oxygen and creating atmospheres for rain and coolness, and we're just making a mess of the earth. We're not being good stewards of the earth like God taught us to be, asked us to be. That was our role, and certainly Adam's role in the Garden of Eden, to tend to things and to be a good steward of the things that the Lord has given us. So it will get hotter. It's not entirely due to us. I think mostly it's due to just simply God's creation. There's checks and balances, and we're heading into a period of warming prior to the Lord's return. And when the Lord does return, it will get really warm because it was destroyed with water first. The second time, it will be destroyed with fire. So that makes sense. But as I look at this, I think about, what is the future of the energy? As long as we're here on the earth, the energy situation, energy is going to get more expensive. Electricity is going to get more expensive. What are you doing to limit that? And one thing you can do is create your own lithium iron phosphate battery. The cells are fairly cheap from China. So I'm attempting to go the road of purchasing batteries off Alibaba and putting together a battery myself. A significant battery. I'm not going to get into too many details, but a significant battery, which will help, not only make electricity bills cheaper for us, but also help us in, grid down situations, whether that's from natural disasters, the grid going down to heat like in Texas. And of course, we know they had that snowstorm in Texas, which took out the grid as well. And most people weren't prepared for that. They're prepared now. So it's something to think about. And the other thing I was thinking about was, power generation. Can I make some power from the water? We live beside a river. Is there a way I can make some power, even if a little bit, from that moving water? And so that's something I've been thinking about. So renewable energy, think about it, folks. It could be handy. It's certainly going to make life probably more livable and less expensive for you. So anyways, think about that. So that's a little bit what I've been thinking about as we, enter the last days. I give thanks for all of the good things God gives to us. Now we need to use what God gives us, the sun and the flowing water and the things of the earth, and use those to our advantage. And the Lord put them there for us to make use of. A couple of news items that I want to go over here. Let me make this smaller. There we go. UN chief. Now, he didn't say this directly, but he basically implied this. Christians who don't accept maps will be excluded from society. Now, this is talking about LGBTQ ideology, pedophiles, etc. And he was basically suggesting at the Human Rights Council that religious freedom can only exist if it's compatible with LGBTQ plus agenda. And the implication was that, Christians, for example, and Muslims, I'm sure he wouldn't make mention of that, but people of religious groups need to accept it and get along with it. And there will come a point, I don't think there will come a point, there will come a point where if we say anything against, these things, we will be considered purveyors of hate speech. We will go to jail for saying the truth. And, the end times are here when we speak truth and we get put in jail for it. And we are the bad people. And that's the situation we're in, folks. So just be prepared for that. This is War News 247. Seems like maybe some networks are starting to turn tail and go against Zelensky on the counterattack. So there was a second counterattack a couple of weeks ago that was said to be the real counterattack. And it has since kind of fallen to the wayside. Now there's news of the United States having M1A2, M1A1 Abrams tanks kind of ready to go. They're special ones. I think it seems like, according to the article I read, maybe they took some of the technology out, some of the secrets that they didn't want Russia to get. They've kind of stripped them down, and they have a few approved for Ukraine now. So that is on the move. So pay attention to that. But this counteroffensive Ukraine, if they were doing anything good in Ukraine, it would be plastered all over CNN or CBC in Canada. So the fact that you're not seeing that good news, quote unquote, tells you what you need to know. The fact that they aren't reporting on that really shows you what the truth is about Ukraine. Meanwhile, they want you to think that Ukraine is doing great. So you can watch the mainstream media, just read between the lines, understand what their narrative is, understand what their narrative isn't, to understand, if they're not saying something, maybe that's the news you got to take from that broadcast. The stuff they aren't saying, they aren't talking about, maybe that's the stuff you should focus on. Now, this battle, which ultimately is between the United States and Russia, is heading outside of Ukraine's borders. China and Russia sent huge naval flotilla towards Alaska. U.S. responds by dispatching destroyers. Now, I spoke about alternative energy, DIY stuff. That includes solar panels, wind generators. Remember that all these things come from China. So if you ever wanted to get into these things, now may be the time. There's not many, if any, manufacturers of batteries, solar panels, and certainly much less ones that include all the components created in the USA or Canada or wherever. It all comes from China. And at some point, when China declares war, or whomever, the first thing that's going to stop are the shipping containers. We won't be able to get spare parts. We won't be able to buy products. And once that happens, Walmarts will be empty. Walmart, just as an example, has, I don't know what the percentage is, 90, 95, 99% goods at least made or at least the material used in it or, the components of it created in China or somewhere around there. Most of it's from, off the continent of North America. So when war breaks out and economic war is happening, we're getting there very quick, folks. You're not going to be able to get spare parts. You're not going to be able to get batteries. So if you want something, good idea to get it now. And so I think this is the key takeaway from this particular thing is that as tensions rise, they're going to start playing that economic war. When they decide the time is right, they're going to pull the pin on the grenade and fight that economic war. I think World War III ultimately will be one of economies. They'll play economic warfare. The U.S. will collapse because they are in so much in debt. And all the countries of the world will. There will be a great reset. There will be some weapons that will fly, maybe some bombs that will fly. Maybe it's even some nuclear weapons. But that's not the easiest way to take out the West. The easiest way is economically. And if that doesn't work, pepper some cyber attacks on top of that and take out our internet, take out our technology, and people would go insane without their cell phones, without their communication, without their technology. So it's really easy to defeat North America, specifically the United States, and take down the world superpower. Now, they got to recognize that the same would probably happen to them, but their populations are much closer to the land, at least large amounts of them, Russia included, they're much more used to living without technology. Huge numbers of their populations already live with basically no technology. So something to think about. If you need something, get it now. Could be a good idea. Ukraine says U.S. and German air defense systems are highly effective. So the war is ratcheting up. We're sending some more of our more sophisticated air defense systems to Russia. Russia's not going to like this. They're going to push back, obviously. And so just be prepared for more stuff coming out. Now, this was an interesting one. This is jpost.com. Let's see if I can get this to load here. And it's about Israel. And they are getting through Moscow's Black Sea grain blockade. Now, why would they be allowed to get through there? Do they have a deal with Russia? They have a pretty good relationship with Russia, Netanyahu does, because they can go into Syria, for example, and do strikes against Iran and Iranian targets, etc. So they have a good relationship with Russia, and that's part of the reason why Israel doesn't want to give Ukraine advanced weapons, because Russia said, we won't let you do what you need to in Syria if you give Ukraine advanced weapons. But I wonder if they twisted Russia's arms, and Netanyahu spoke to Putin and said, you know what, let some of our ships through for this grain. I think this is interesting. Israeli vessel breaks through Moscow's Black Sea grain blockade. An Israeli merchant ship that embarked from the port of Ashdod Monday became the first vessel to defy Russia's blockade of the Black Sea since they pulled out of the deal with Ukraine, allowing the country to export grain from its port in mid-July. So again, very, very interesting. Israeli vessel Arms 1 seemingly ignored Russian threats and entered the Ukrainian branch of the Danube Monday afternoon, according to Ukrainian reports. So again, I don't think Russia has any interest in... they don't want to ratchet this up. They're not going to certainly bomb Israel. Israel has incredible technology, incredible military, and I think technology probably that Russia is probably afraid of. I think Israel still has the most advanced technology, probably even more than the United States at this point, because they have to deal with Iran. And so they have incredible radars and jamming techniques and drones and communications options. So I don't think Russia is going to go after Israel. So that was a good little game of chicken there, and interesting that Israel got through to it. I spoke about this one before. A secret Chinese lab in the U.S. could indicate preparations for war. So you would think that China would all along kind of be trying to infiltrate the U.S., Canada, Western nations. We know they have police stations around, which both nations are kind of hemming and hawing about, not really going hard after these so-called Chinese police stations, which go after ex-Chinese citizens or just maybe dual citizenship Chinese citizens. But they're going to go after them with all sorts of things. How much of your electronics could they remotely shut down in the event of declaration of World War III? Could they log into your solar system, your logging system, and shut down or trigger your inverter to short out or something like that? Could they scramble code in all the communication systems and off-grid systems? We buy all our batteries and our inverters, our charge controllers, any electronics, Apple Watches, computers, it's all from China. So could there be a backdoor in there that they could get in with a virus and cause them all to shut down at the same time via some sort of massive cyber attack? It is a possibility. It is not likely that they would be in there without us noticing. But, with the whole 5G thing, apparently the American military has issues with it, and Canada kind of stopped that as well because they worry about the connectivity that China is getting. They're getting their fingers into North America and into the technology sectors that way. So interesting. Maybe China's putting some biowarfare labs in there too, because why have a biowarfare lab on your own, in your own country that could infect your own people? Why not export that and put that right in the midst of the enemy? So that's very interesting. Peace in the last days. Foreign Minister Cohen. Israel is the closest it has ever been to peace agreement with Saudi Arabia. So again, there will be a peace deal. When the Antichrist comes, he will implement a peace deal with the many in the Middle East, and that will be broken at the midpoint of the 7-year period. So interesting stuff that they're talking about peace, and of course they were, with the Abrahamic Accords that Trump pushed through, and we're still talking about that. So as you see more and more news about peace, know that the Antichrist is near. As you see more and more talk about war and rumors of wars, know that the Antichrist is near in the 7-year period. As you hear about economic troubles and woes and signs in the sun, moon, and stars and weather events and diseases and pestilences, know that the Lord's coming draws nigh. And even closer, I believe, the 7-year period and the Antichrist and war and all the things that the four horsemen of the apocalypse bring in Revelation chapter 6. Go read the first 6 verses of Revelation chapter 6, and you'll know what is coming. And we see a build-up, a lead-up to that. I don't think this all happens like, in the blink of an eye. The four horsemen, come down and all of a sudden they start riding. I think all these things start out slowly. Electricity gets slowly more expensive. Gasoline gets slowly more expensive. We go into a recession, and then we go into a deeper recession, and people start losing jobs, and people have less money. And it's just a slow rolling snowball at the start, but it starts to build up speed. And I think in the last 3 years, we started to build up a lot of momentum, a lot of speed to all the things described in Revelation chapter 6. So, folks, I will end it this way. In all things, give thanks. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. We don't know when our time will come. You need to serve the Lord, honor him with all your being, all that you have, because ultimately everything will be taken away from us in this world. We will take nothing with us into eternity except our souls and our faith in Jesus Christ. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.